Hey guys, Anthony Medical live here on the Speakeasy. Well, we're in my office. Speakeasy's outside.
Yes.
We got a little digital presentation here. I'm here, guys, with Steven Rozenberg, founder of one of the fastest growing property management companies in the state of Texas, Empire Industries, back in the day.
Yep.
Actually sold that company off.
Did.
And now helping entrepreneurs navigate into the property management industry.
Yeah.
Align and dominate.
How to break through the gatekeepers.
So you did a hell of a job, by the way, speaking at the
Appreciate it.
Solar Boot Camp, talking to the guys that came in. We had about 65, 70 contractors, owners of contracting companies, learning about solar, but also learning how to apply what they're doing in solar and storm to property management companies, REITs, facility managers, people that own big buildings.
Yeah. Roofs.
And in that process, roofs, big roofs.
Big
Everybody
roofs.
likes big roofs. So guys, I want to announce Steven Rozenberg as a main stage speaker at the Wind the Storm Conference and Trade Show Expo in Dallas, February 14th, 15th, and 16th. As you guys know, this year we're going to be bringing in REITs, facility risk managers, commercial building owners, not in a large magnitude, but as speakers and possibly hitting up some breakout sessions to help teach some of the contractors, PAs, even the attorneys, how to navigate into that arena. And a lot of them are looking for large loss claims or large projects to build.
Yeah.
And you're one of the conduits to how to get into that industry. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, you got a book out, Building an Empire. I thought this, when I saw the front cover of his book, I thought a lot of guys, a lot of contracts out there. Understand what that looks like, post-hurricane, post-hailstorm.
Yeah.
A lot of money involved. You can lose it or win it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's got a good book out there called Building an Empire, Filling Our Way to Millions. But tell us a little bit about how you got into property management.
Yeah, so, property management for me was more of a necessity. I got into it as an investor, owning a lot of real estate and making a lot of mistakes, and had to build a business.
Are you from Houston?
From Los Angeles originally. Born and raised in LA. Moved to Houston, been there for 20 years. Started buying real estate. Prior life as being an airline pilot. So 9/11 is actually what got me into being a real estate investor, because I got a furlough notice after 9/11.
Ooh.
And
a lot of people got those notices.
A lot of people did, and many are getting them now. Right? They've got 9 to 5, a career. COVID is obviously affecting.
2008, a lot of people got those notices.
2008, it's a cycle, right?
Yeah,
You know, it's a trend, right? Yeah. We talked about that earlier. And so getting into the real estate industry, needed to build a business model around my investments. So started a company, and then realized that it could be a very scalable business by managing other people's assets. Started
managing your own apartment
Started managing
buildings?
my own at first, out of a necessity, and wanted to do it from an investor's perspective of how I would want it run, or me and my business partner. And it basically flourished from there. And then we had other people that were very similar to us, that had the same challenges. We started scaling and growing, grew very, very rapidly, learned how to run a business, and learned how to run a business through marketing, sales, operations, accounting, and realized that...
Specifically a property management company.
A property management company, okay. Correct. And started scaling exponentially fast because we use the principles as business owners, not property managers. Mm-hmm. The product we sold was property management, but we ran it as business owners.
Is it primarily in Texas, or were there other states involved?
We were just in Texas at the time. We were looking to do a franchise prior to us exiting and selling. We ended up, as we scaled to about 1,000 properties in 7 years. And then we had a venture capital company come and actually buy us. And then I became a VP for them. So went from 1,000 properties, 1,000 roofs, to 10,000 roofs.
Wow.
And so what I've learned is that, having strategic alliance partners, roofing companies, right? Solar companies, these other things, there's a big disconnect in that industry. They're both needed, they need each other, but it's like they're oil and vinegar, and they don't understand how to get along and align. And so I've learned, I don't want to say the secret sauce, but I've understood that the communication is the challenge between the two. Mm-hmm. And I've learned the 1 versus 100. One door knock, one roof. Versus
or one phone call, or
one phone call, 100 doors, meaning a management company, or 1,000, or in my case, 10,000 roofs. So if you can learn to make the alliance with a property management company, you could maybe get 100, 1,000, or 10,000 inbounds and become a strategic partner.
Which could be roofs, doors, windows, siding, exteriors,
Everything.
whatever.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Air
Whatever,
conditioning units,
litigation,
landscaping,
or public
litigation,
adjusters, or whatever.
everything. I mean, it's 1,000, 10,000 of they in the property management industry they count layers, and so when you're selling a business, they start layering to see what the value of a company is. And when I was talking to some of these private equity people and venture capitals, they said they stopped counting at 19 layers. So normally companies have 7 to 8 of possible spinoffs. They said in the property management industry, they stopped at 19 and they said that's enough. So there's so many different derivatives of a property management company, whether it's air conditioning, warranty work, roofing contracts, service contracts, all these things. And people just don't understand this enigma, this animal, but they really are the gatekeepers for the whole industry. I mean, there's roughly 30 million single-family rental units in the U.S. And there's 43 million single-family rental units, and there's about 30 million apartment complex multifamily units in the U.S. It's a lot of roofs. It's a lot of windows. It's a lot of lawns. It's a lot of litigation. It's a lot of everything.
And how many property management companies? They have 283,000.
281,000 registered property management companies in the U.S.
That are managing all these properties.
The majority of them they're managing. So they're the gatekeepers of these properties.
Right.
So it's the 1 versus 100.
They're protecting the owners of the REITs, the CFOs, some sort of facility risk management, all combined.
You're going to talk to them before they talk to anybody. And even if you got to the CFO or the REIT, they're going to redirect you to the management company because that's their job, is they're in the day-to-day operation. And most management companies have the legal right to make these decisions of what contractor they're going to use. So even if you got to the owner,
a lot of them are relying on the property management company to make those decisions. They don't have to.
That's why you get one. That's why you get a management company.
Yeah.
That's their job. So even if you got to the owner and did a workaround, they're still going to redirect you. So, what I've learned is that there's a better way to be a strategic partner and to align with these management companies to get those 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 million doors that are out there, because the biggest wear and tear are exterior things, roofs, landscaping, windows, anything that deals with the outside forces of nature are going to need to be replaced.
The toilet overflowing, hitting 5 floors below.
All of that, yes. Everything that happens for a reason.
So we kind of met today for the first time.
Yeah.
Real impressive training and speech you gave the contractors here. I know quite a few of them gave you some accolades, and you and I had a discussion. I think one of the things we're moving into Winter Storm is we have the traditional speakers coming out talking about trades. We have the motivational speakers.
Sure.
At the end of the day, what everybody in that conference is after is how do I improve my business model to get more customers, increase sales, provide more value to my customer.
Right.
And we're talking about property owners. We're talking about residential properties. We're also talking about commercial building owners. We're talking about REITs. We're talking about property management companies that manage properties.
Yeah.
Why not bring some of those people on stage?
Yeah.
And when I met you, I'm like, man, this guy's got a wealth of experience and knowledge in the capacity of property management companies. And we'd like to see, that's one of the pushes I'm doing this year, is bring more of those people on stage. I know you're also bringing on a couple of your cohorts in the industry that own a whole lot of businesses, commercial building
Big
owners
players.
and REITs. And we're going to have a fun time bringing them on. So now you sold that company off. Now you're in a business now of educating, speaking. You authored a book. Tell me a little about what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I sold my company, a lot of people ask me why I sold, and I didn't need to sell it. It was a decision, a personal decision. And I look at life as a book, and there's chapters in a book. We wrote a book, right? And there's long chapters, short chapters, good chapters, and bad chapters. And so that was a chapter in my life, and that chapter ended. And so now the second half of my life, if you want to call it that, is how do you take all this information that you've learned, all this stuff in our heads, and how do you regurgitate it out to help other people? And how do you take this information and try to get other people to take this and run with it? And so that's when you start helping and you start educating. And so I have just become a big advocate of not only learning to educate and help people, but more importantly, how do you pass that down to your children? So you build a business, right? You own a roofing company, and you're doing really well. But that's not really wealth. That's a fountain of money. But how do you take that money and actually create wealth with it and transfer it to your children?
Or legacy.
Create a legacy. Correct. Exactly. Exactly. And so a lot of times we don't think about that. So we come to these conferences, we do all these events, we learn all these things, and we're doing it for our loved ones, but we don't actually share it with the people we're doing it for. And so we could give our kids our businesses, but if they don't understand what we're doing or why we're doing it, what's the point? So I'm a big believer in saying, look, like, create some kind of legacy for the family, so that you can teach them, because if not, who's teaching our kids? Who's teaching the younger generation to actually create a business model? I mean, you guys have done such a great job with being educators, but how many of the clients actually take that and pass it down to their children to say, this is how you're going to grow and this is how you're going to keep feeding your children? Because you've spent so much time building it, why wouldn't you want to educate them and pass it down? So to answer your question, I do a lot of educating and mindset training to understand, what do you want? You're building a business, I get it. And I built a business out of necessity. But at some point that necessity goes away, and then you got to decide what's next.
We were talking about real estate investing. I told you I hadn't bought any real estate since the recession, 2009.
Yep.
And you're like, well, you approach it with not just to buy real estate for the sake of flipping or making money, but why are you buying that property?
Exactly.
What's your end goal?
What's your why?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we talked, when's the good time to buy? Well, it depends on the goal.
Me, I'm like, bottom of the recession.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When everyone's running
Dirt
out,
cheap.
you're running in, right?
Right.
And sometimes this is the time to educate yourself. And I work with a lot of real estate investors in the industry, and I tell them sometimes waiting is a strategy. Waiting and figuring it out is the way to go, because it's not, entrepreneurs are ready, shoot, aim people. We want to work hard. We want to grind. We want to do it. That's not always the best way to go. Sometimes you've got to sit there and plan it out. And sometimes hunting is putting on the night vision goggles and just waiting. And waiting for the recession to come, waiting for winter to come, and being ready to take action when it's ready. But having the knowledge, you don't want to be like the Wild West and you're just buying properties, because if you buy the wrong properties, that could send, in flying, we say it takes you to the crash site quicker.
We're talking about Arizona right now is probably the highest priced market ever.
Yep.
And for me, I'm like, yeah, I'll wait till the recession hits. I think it's going to hit every 15 years. Some people would argue that all day long.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'd rather spend the money on my business at the moment, and then wait until a little dip hits, or a big one, hopefully.
Absolutely.
And then drop it.
Well, you said earlier, when you statistically real estate, and again, you can get some people that can, micromanage what I'm going to say, but statistically real estate goes in 7-year cycles. So if you looked at 2000, 2001 with the .com and 9/11, and then you had 2008, right? So that's about 7 years, give or take. And then you had 2014 was when the oil prices were hitting $140 a barrel, and it was micro. It wasn't national, but it was micro. And we'll call them corrections. We don't call them recessions, but there was a correction.
Right.
So we had 2014, and then we had 2020, 2021, maybe
COVID.
22. Yeah. Now it's going through the roof, but there will be a correction. So what I explain to people is, we're not shocked when winter comes. We know after fall comes winter. We just know it's going to happen. After a boom, there will be a correction. Not saying it's a recession or anything like that. I don't want to paint a picture, but
every 15 years since
it's
the
going to
depression,
correct.
It's
going to correct.
And the big correction hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened.
Since 2008.
And will it? I don't know. If they keep printing money, they're the government is skewing the odds, in my opinion, because of the way that they're handling printing of money. So that's just, it's prolonging it, delaying it, but it's not canceling it out. It's going to happen. It's just when.
Now, some of the feedback I got today from some of the guys in the boot camp, and I know there's a shortened version today because we had a time crunch.
Right.
Really liked your talking about how to get past the gatekeepers in the property management company. And then once you get in front of those decision makers, which could be the property management, it could be the owners, could be the CFO,
Sure.
could be the risk facility, all those different players that are involved. What do what's the conversation? What's the blueprint to close them? And we talked about, it's being more than being a roof tradesman.
Absolutely.
In a bid.
Yep.
It's having a holistic business management approach. But I liked how to get around the gatekeepers. I think a lot of guys that win a storm are going to like that kind of content.
Yeah.
And then once you get a seat at the table, how can you speak differently besides being the bid to get their attention and to be that asset that they want on their team for the long term and not just the one-off sale?
Well, when it comes to marketing, you're marketing yourself, you're marketing your company, right? And that you've got to create rapport. right? But by creating a rapport, you've got to solve a problem. So you've got to figure out what is the problem of the property management company and how do you solve that problem? So when you can solve that problem and you can become that alliance partner of theirs and you're solving their problem, you're making their life easier. And if you're solving a problem financially, you're putting money in their pocket, which puts money in your pocket. So understanding that you're not on opposite sides of the table, you have to virtually get on the same side of the table with them and say, look, I'm with you. Like, I'm on your team. I want to be there with you. And in doing so, I want 1,000 roofs or doors or windows or yards. I want to be, this is what my request. What do you need from me? And so it's a matter of figuring out how to give them a point of difference, how to make their lives easier. You know, going into the management company or whatever and talking to them and talking to the employees. You know, you talk to the owner says, this is what I want. But when you actually talk to the property managers and say, what is your biggest problem with roofing? Like, how can I solve your problem? And they'll say, well, show up on time, right?
Right.
Give us a bid that's realistic, these kinds of things. Okay, if I did that, would that make your life easier? And that's a rapport conversation. That's a matter of understanding what they're doing to make their lives easier. Because if you can do that, you're going to get the business.
And we talked about a lot of the guys watching this right now, and I was one of them. Storm restoration contractors, you know, the storm hits, the hurricane, hailstorm. Your immediate motivation is to go out and find those larger properties that may have X damage,
right,
and hit them up with the one-off sale, the old contingency sale. And guys do that. I used to do it too. And then we talked about, why not preempt that? Why wait for the storm?
Exactly.
Why not go on with a maintenance and service agreement? You and I shared some thoughts on that. We have a maintenance and service agreement. And go in before and develop a relationship, not based on like 911 emergency because a storm hits, I want your insurance claim, but hey, if a storm ever hits, I want to be your guy for 24/7 weather monitoring. If the toilet overflows and you're into water restoration, I want to be your guy to handle that emergency situation on 24/7 call. Or if it's a roofer, maybe I'm your guy that comes out every quarter and does an inspection on a roof, make sure there's no leaks and penetrations, all that kind of stuff, which could lead into, because you're willing to do a repair and maintenance program, which a lot of the big companies do, the big contracting companies that get the recurring revenue, could lead into the situation where you always get the claim later on without even having to knock the door.
Right. Well, I'll give you an example. So in Houston, we get a couple storms that come through.
Right.
So we had a little storm called Hurricane Harvey that rolled through, and we at the time we had about 900 properties, and we had about 600 of them got damaged. So we had our preferred vendors and contractors that they just knew they were organized and they were out there. We'd have to call them.
Right.
So we had other people calling us.
Probably got a lot of people doing this too.
Yeah, well, yeah, we had a lot of door knocks. We're like, the relationship is set. Like we have our go-to guys.
So it's the preemptive contractor.
It's the preemptive conversation. That's exactly right. And so by understanding what is the need of that company, and I mean, they literally were out there when you couldn't even drive the roads. They were out there taking care of us because we were their number one client because we treated them well, they treated us well, and it was a reciprocating conversation. But that was done months and even years before. The door knockers didn't get us because we're like, look, this is too late. Now, amplify that out to the company that bought my company, now you got 10,000 roofs, and now you're nationwide. So if you think about the amount of roofs, doors, windows, toilets, everything, think of that scalability. So, a lot of things I talked to today about is, the owner of the company, that's where their focus should be. Not doing the minute details. It should be building these relationships. It should be going out and having these high-level conversations of setting up the contract agreements and saying, I want to be your person. And what do I need to do to make that happen? And then, I even take it a step further of creating educational content that sits on their website, that you are the expert, you're the branded expert on roofing. What are the 5 common things that you need to be aware of when you have a roof problem? You're the expert. You're on their website, so now they're locked into you as a partner, and you're talking, what are the things about mold you need to be aware of? You're the expert, you're on their website doing an educational video, so you're educating, but you're the go-to guy. So you're locking yourself into this relationship like a spider web, so to speak, and it really, really helps the property management company more so because it makes you look like a professional because you have professional people working with you. So it's a two-way street. It very much is a two-way street.
So guys watch this right now, they're probably thinking, okay, I get it. But tell me, Steve, how do I get past that gatekeeper to get a guy like you so I can have that kind of conversation to be that guy? So is there any kind of tools or tricks? I know you got a whole like portfolio of training on this.
I've got a whole. The answer is
Do
yes.
we bring the flowers by and chocolate candies and a motorcycle, or?
Well, you know what's interesting is, it's a matter of understanding what their problem is, and it's a matter of showing up, and it's a matter of actually having a frank conversation of asking them. So a lot of times when people talk about sales, and you know this, it's not centric to how you can help them, right? So you're sitting there tooting your own horn of what we are and how expert I am, but it's not like, what is your biggest problem and how can I solve that? So it's, again, it's about being more of a servant mindset of saying, how can I serve you in your company? What are your challenges and how can I help solve your problems?
And it could be something dumb, like you say, hey, I have a duplex association over here, okay, and every winter the leaves go in the gutters, and I get these problems.
Absolutely.
These old people call me and complain. Can you solve that problem? And it might be like, that might not be your forte, but if you can solve that problem, that leads into a relationship or something
I'll take it
else.
a step further. We would say, you know what, can you answer your phone? Can you just answer your phone when we call you? Like, let's just start with the basics. And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, how do you want to communicate? So it's what we used to do is we would set expectations. So we would say, okay, when we communicate with you, when can we expect a call back? When do you want to be paid? So it's basic, but it's things that are not discussed. So it's setting expectations. And so they may say, I want to be paid 50% before the job's done. And we say, well, we can't do that. This is our procedure. And so again, this is the challenge that a lot of contractors have is they don't set expectations with their clients and vice versa of saying, okay, this is how I communicate. I'll answer, I will return all calls by 5 p.m. If it's an emergency, I will return a call in an hour. This is how a payment structure is made. This is, if there's an issue, this is how we'll resolve it. They don't talk about those things. That's what we want to know. We get that you want the business, but how do we do the minute details? The devil's in the details, as you know. And that's the biggest challenge is nobody talks about not the tough conversations, but the conversations that need to be discussed. And I think that's the biggest challenge is you want to sit there and say how great you are. We know what you do.
Right.
We get that.
A+ rating, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah, blah.
I got kittens on my website. I'm the best. I juggle. But at the end of the day, they go, okay, how do you solve our problems for our clients? Because the last thing we want is a tenant or a owner calling us up, bitching at us, saying this guy messed up, and that's what we don't want. We don't want to create a bigger problem.
Right.
So how do we stop bigger problems from happening? And that's the thing that we want to know. So if you can come in saying, what is your biggest challenge in your business with my industry, and how would I make your life easier? They'll tell you. They will tell you right away, this is what we need. Okay, then you make a decision, a business decision of saying, okay, I can do that, or no, I can't. It could be when you pay them out. Are we plus 30, plus 90? What's the payout schedule? And that's the biggest challenge I've seen is most contractors don't have these minute conversations, and then there's an expectation, and then there's a misalignment. Hey, I thought that you got paid like we pay all our other vendors. Oh no, I need my money now. I can't do that, so now there's a problem.
Let's talk about the filing of claims.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys watching this, they're in the claim business, post-hurricane, post-hail, post-windstorm, post-tornado. And I remember back in the day, it was always different. Sometimes the property management company had the authority.
Yep.
Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they actually managed the damn insurance policy. Sometimes they didn't. When you're talking about the filing of claims and somebody approaches you, what is the magnitude? I mean, is it different across the board? Is it something that a property management company can do, can't do? Is it how involved are the owners? Is it all different across the board?
It is different across the board. I can tell you from my company prior to selling it, 50 to 60% of our clients did not live in the state or in the country.
Exactly.
So they don't know. So we would
They're relying on you.
Well, we were labeled as additional insured on their insurance claim. So a lot of management companies will actually require the client to become additionally insured. So they can actually negotiate on their behalf of the claim, or they can be the go-to.
So they have some of that decision making, and certainly the feedback to the owners.
Absolutely, absolutely. But then processing and dealing with the claim, because let's say the owner lives in California, and we've got a property in Texas. Well, they're not going to be able to deal with the vendors and the adjusters, and so that's us. So we're the ones out there doing this. And many owners, look, good customer service is not us calling the owner every 5 minutes and saying, okay, well, I just got out of my car. Okay, I'm walking up to, they don't care. They just say, get it fixed. I don't care. Get it fixed and get it making revenue again. Don't care what you got to do. That's our job.
Now you saw something today. We introduced. This was a solar boot camp, but we brought in some commercial players. But we saw the commercial roof proposal, section 179, 179D.
Yeah.
Really 179, where the commercial building owner, ultimately the guy paying taxes, which usually isn't the property management company, but the client you work for.
Yep.
And you're introduced with the report that says, okay, here's my bid, yada yada, but here's this Excel tax calculator to show you how to wipe out $1 million
That's huge.
first year based on whether it's insurance claim, commercially funded, or out of pocket, doesn't matter. Does that change the nature of who sits at your seat or who gets communicated back to higher ups?
It definitely does. I think there's an education curve on that. I think there's a matter of educating the parties involved, because you got to understand too is, you know, when you're dealing with a single family property versus a multifamily or apartment complex, the term is
this
that,
only applies to non-residential, so
Right.
yeah, it would be
right. So you know the difference is educating them to understand, and it's numbers, right? Investing is numbers. It's mathematics. It has nothing to do with opinion, ego.
Let's say you had a storm claim or a retail bid situation. You're a property management company. You're a property manager. You got a big client. He lives in California. You get 3 roofing bids laid across, and you get the one that says, by the way, if you apply Section 1 Excel tax calculator, we'll show you this. You send it up to the owner. Is that going to widen some eyes based on
Absolutely.
tax strategy? 'Cause
Absolutely.
I think a lot of you saw the hands today. Only 95% of them didn't know about it.
Correct.
Which means a lot of commercial.
I didn't know
buildings
about it.
Yeah, you didn't know about it. Most people don't.
No.
It was changed in 2018. But to me now, you're no longer just a roofer. You're providing a holistic business solution.
You're providing a solution
Beyond just the roofing trade. And you're speaking a language of business owners, which I think property managers want to speak as well.
Absolutely.
Does that guy get a seat at the table perhaps more than the other guys?
Absolutely,
Right.
without a doubt, because
So that might be a way to cleave your way in.
well, because you're in what you're doing. Imagine me not knowing anything and saying, listen, this is how I can make you Mr. Property Manager, a shining star.
Yeah, you be a shining star.
I'm gonna make you the smartest guy in the room right now, because you're gonna send this to the owner and you're gonna say, not only am I fixing your problem, but I'm giving you tax solutions. And the owner's gonna go, wow, you are the smartest guy I've ever met, or girl. So yes, absolutely.
So you would appreciate that.
100%, because you're making my life easier. You're solving a problem.
And now you saw part 2 of that where we snuck into 179D. It was kind of arbitrarily. Well, if you like 179, take a peek at 179D, and now you're talking about, well, let's look at possibly putting solar panels on here. No, normally they might not have ever cared, but because of 179, all of a sudden they want to peek at 179D and go, there's another big tax deduction.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
something to think about.
Well, and you know what I don't think what people realize is it's a point of difference now for the property management company. So a property management company can now go to a potential client and say, not only can I give you this, but now I can give you tax savings. So now I'm a point of difference over, like, why should
you got a competitive advantage.
Exactly. So why would I hire you over XYZ management company? Well, not only can I show you how to do this, but I can give you some tax saving advice. And I can show you how to solve some other problems.
Dude, can I get 1% off that?
Yes.
1% making.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't think about it that way. That
It's
was
a
all the way
huge
up
point
the
of
chain.
difference,
Yeah,
absolutely. So you're solving a problem for me, because it's now I can use that as a conversion tool. So I would promote that. Ask me how I can save you on taxes. Now all of a sudden an owner's going to go, whoa, tell me about this. Well, we're the only one in the area that does the X, Y, and Z, and this is why. And they're going to go, and they're going to ask another property management company, do you guys do this thing with the tax savings on cert 179? They're going to go, I don't know what you're talking about.
What is it? That's what you're like, what is that?
And all of a sudden I'm going to go, exactly, that's why you want to come to us, because we're the experts. So it's a huge point of difference.
Guys, Steven Rozenberg, author of Building an Empire, Failing Our Way to Millions. We
right.
all know about that. We don't always succeed. We
all have,
fail our
yeah,
way to millions.
absolutely.
A lot of people forget about the failing part.
Yep.
Main stage speaker, WTS, Winter Storm Conference Trade Show Expo, Dallas. We're going back. Well, we've never been to
forward to
Dallas.
it.
We're going to Dallas, Storm Capital. Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, Herschel Walker, and there's a rumor we're getting Coach Jimmy Johnson. He took the Dallas Cowboys to the Super Bowl quite a few times.
Yes.
And guys, I got to be honest, because nobody's ever perfect in business. It used to be the Super Bowl mindset, and we got a little letter from the NFL a couple days ago because we started paid ads. They said you can't use the word Super Bowl.
That's our word.
I didn't know that was
That's our
trademarked.
word.
So we changed it to the Roofer Bowl mindset, which I kind of like better now. The Roofer Bowl mindset. It was the Super Bowl, so you guys get a laugh out of that. Hey, you live and learn.
That's right.
Who would have thought that one word could be trademarked?
Or a trophy.
And the little football,
Yeah.
the little football deals, trademark. So we changed our cards, guys. You see, if you see the Super Bowl mindset, you won't see that after November 10th. It's the Roofer Bowl mindset. But guys, we're excited to bring Steven Rozenberg. He's going to bring some of his, let's say business associates in the REIT, HOA, multifamily, and commercial building owner arena.
Yep.
He's going to help us bring some folks in. We're going to start bringing the players into Win a Storm. We keep talking about them every year. Why not bring them in?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Steve's going to help me bring some of those guys in. You'll see some actual commercial building owners and REITs and HOA type folks that are going to help you guys learn how to figure out what they need, what's their value points, how to close them. I know you guys want to close them, but that's understanding what they need. And let's get them on a stage. Let's get them leading breakout sessions. And we're excited to have that new flavor at the Win a Storm Conference and Trade Show Expo. So glad you came in today.
Appreciate it.
And it's Friday night. We got to get to our
that's right. We got another one to go
networking
to.
events to get to tonight. So that's a booyah, baby.
All right.
See you soon.
Bye bye.